What if? What if you wanted to be an exercise professional? What if you wanted to start your own business? What if you wanted to win the grand final? What if you wanted to lose weight? What if you wanted to achieve something you've never done before? What if? And if you've ever been excited about, inspired to do, had a desire to achieve something, what if you could start with the end in mind? So what if you knew that you were going to win? What if you knew that your business was going to be successful? What if you knew that as an exercise professional, you were going to add massive value to people's lives and you were going to wake up every day doing what you love? And it's interesting because we have an idea, we have a dream, we have a goal, and then there's the outcome. And the only difference between the dream and the reality is that time in between where we actually have to make it happen. And what if there were no challenges, there were no limitations, there was no challenges with money or education or time, we could just make it happen right now. So what if you had an idea and you could achieve it straight away? And you could look back over your idea and say, look, I've decided I'm going to do this and I did it. And I'm asking that because every day, without fail, somebody shares with me a goal or a dream or something they want to achieve. And I'm sure that you hear that all the time too. I want to, I hope to, I wish I could. And some people even start, so they've got a goal or a dream and they start the process. But how many people actually achieve the goal? So if you really want to be an exercise professional, have your own business, win the grand final, lose weight, achieve something, whatever it is that you've got in your headspace, are you going to make it happen? Or do you come up with an excuse or a justification or a reason, some people call it, for not doing it? And what if, and I keep asking that question, what if you could remove the middle bit? So you just knew that whatever it is that you wanted to do was possible and you do it. And so that middle bit, whether it's a reason, a justification, an excuse for not doing it, didn't exist because you went straight from I want to do something to actually doing it. And I think that space in between, if we were going to be philosophical, if we're going to analyze the situation, that might be the difference between that space in between is this thing called discipline. It's this thing called I'm not going to give up. It's this thing that differentiates the dreamers from the doers. So I can't change whether people dream or do. I think it's lovely that people dream. I think it's even more awesome and lovely when people achieve their goal or their dream. But as somebody who's in education, as an exercise professional who wants to help people achieve their goals, if you're a parent or a teacher or a coach and you are involved in this middle bit here, so people come to you and say, I want to, it's important to me to achieve this goal. How do we get them through that middle bit so they don't make excuses or justifications, or they don't stop, or they don't procrastinate, or they don't fall down if there's a challenge, or they don't give up? How do we stop that giving up bit in the middle to make sure that people actually achieve their goal? And I wish I had an answer to that because every day I get really excited with people who say to me, I want to. And one of the big things about being a professional at the Max International Colleges, to even be accepted into our program, you have to not just have a goal and a dream, but our question is always, are you 100% committed to that goal or that dream? Is this something that is really important to you, something that you really want? And the reason that question is important to me, and it's important to the college, is we invest time in you. Personal time, effort, energy, passion, excitement, because once we know what your goal is, our goal is to get you through the middle bit so that you can achieve your dream and your goal. But what's really interesting is how many people in that middle bit, they just give up. Even with support, with coaching, with help, with somebody there literally to hold your hand through the process. Why is it that so many people have a goal or a dream and never achieve it? And if I had an answer to that, wouldn't the world be a better place? Because we could just provide the solution. But I do have some really important questions, because if you do have a goal or a dream, or there's something that you want to achieve, could you put your headspace and your physical body, for that matter, into a position where you were less likely to quit, you were less likely to come up with an excuse, you were less likely to fall down if a challenge arises, you were more likely to overcome challenges, solve problems, get through the tough times, and actually achieve the goal? And why is it that people quit? And I don't know the answer to that. I think it could be a lack of self-belief. It could be other people telling them they can't do it. It could be it's just too hard. People could be lazy. They could be undisciplined. There's a whole heap of things. But rather than focus on the reasons why we don't achieve, what if we look at the people who do achieve? What's the difference between the people who set a goal and don't achieve it versus the people who set a goal and absolutely achieve it and keep achieving? And if you observe those people, there seems to be some fundamentals. And if you had access to those fundamentals, 2, 3, 5, 10, might only be one thing that you could apply into your life to make sure that you stop making excuses, you stop procrastinating, you stop justifying why you didn't do it, and you just got it done. And blaming other people, of course, is never going to be a solution to anything. And that's one of the really interesting things, that when you have a look at the science behind this, what the neuroscientists, the psychologists and the psychiatrists suggest about how the human brain works, is if you've got a purpose, if you've got a driving force, if this is something that you really want to do, the question is, why would you let somebody stop you from doing it? Why do we let that seed of doubt come into our mind? Why do we let other people steal our dream? What stops us from achieving? And the neuroscientists suggest that there's two parts to that. One is that we get into the habit of making excuses, being undisciplined, being lazy. It becomes a habit. But they also suggest that you can't drop a bad habit. You can just replace it with a good habit. So what if, and this is the interesting thing when you observe the people who always achieve their goals, the ones who always succeed, is it possible that they are in the habit of doing things a little differently or completely differently than the people who don't achieve their goals? And it seems that the answer to that question is yes. So for example, if you said to yourself, I'm never ever going to stop. If I start something, I'm never going to stop until I've finished. And what if you got into the habit of that? The reverse question is, every time you start something, you get halfway through it, or one day into it, or 2 weeks into it, and you just get bored with it, or you can't be bothered, so you stop. Little things. So what if you're washing the car and it's all a bit hard and the wheels are a bit hard to clean, or it's not getting as shiny as you want it to be, so you go, oh, stuff it, I won't, I'll do it another day. Is it possible that that gives us one little file in our brain, another cog in the give up habit system, versus you're halfway through cleaning the car and you just go, there's no way that I'm not finishing this. I started this project, I'm going to finish it. So I've started to clean the car, I'm going to finish cleaning the car. Let's look at something like exercise. Regardless of what amount of exercise you've decided to do, or how long you decided to exercise for, whatever it is, and that's why I always get excited about short exercise, because obviously it's easier to do something short than long. But if you say to yourself, I'm going to get up tomorrow morning and do some exercise. If you do get up and do some exercise, is it possible that you create a file in your brain that says, I exercise when I say I'm going to? If you say to yourself, I'm going to get up in the morning and exercise, and you don't, is it possible that you're getting into the habit of, I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it? So the question there is, everything that you decide to do, what if you just do it? Doesn't matter what comes up, hassle, challenge, problem, cold, hot, windy, people say you can't do it, people annoy you, you get frustrated with it, it seems all a bit hard. Once you make a commitment and you've started, what if you just kept going? And could you get into the habit then of not stopping, not giving up? If somebody says, why are you doing that? The answer is simply because I started it, I'm going to finish it. And is that possible that your brain can then get into the habit of, I'm not going to stop? If you've made a commitment to something, why would you want to stop? And I'll use the big ones. If you've made a commitment to a career path that you're passionate about, you've made the commitment, you want to get the result. The period in between is where you actually have to do the work. You have to do the study, you have to get the education, you have to do the training, you have to do the stuff to make sure that you achieve the goal. But if you had a driving force at the start, if you stop halfway through, and here's what a lot of people say, oh, it wasn't that important to me anyway. Obviously, I didn't really want to do it because I'm not doing it. Well, could that be a habit that we get into? Just simply saying those words, oh, it wasn't really important to me. And the reason why I'm asking that question is it possible you get to the end of your life and you look at all the things that you could have done, you should have done, you would have done if you didn't give up. And there's two parts to this. I work with a lot of people who are very young, who have goals and dreams and aspirations. And I also work with a lot of people that are very old, who had goals and dreams and aspirations, and they didn't achieve them, they haven't done them, and they're old and now regretful. What I really love are the people who they set a goal, they have a dream, they do everything required to make it happen, and they go and do it. Now, sometimes that takes years and years and years. Sometimes, and this is the interesting one, because people often give up in a very short period of time. Some people say, I've been trying to do this business for 5 years and it just doesn't work. But when you have a look at the successful businesses in the world, they've been going for 200 years. So 5 years is just a really short period of time. When you have a look at, we often laugh about, oh, they were an overnight success. But when you have a look at how long it took that overnight success to become successful, sometimes it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But the thing is, if it's something that you want to do, why would you give up on it? Why would you come up with an excuse or a reason? And I am bombarded with excuses and reasons every day. Literally, it's the silliest things, like it's too cold, it's too hot, it's too windy, somebody told me that I couldn't do it, somebody's bullying me, I don't have enough money, I don't think I'm smart enough. And these are all things that just aren't true, obviously, because the people that have achieved the goals, the people that are doing what they want to do, they were probably told all of that. In fact, I know they were told all of those things too. Everything that's ever been achieved was once considered impossible. And it's only considered impossible if somebody tells you that it's impossible. But they're the people that said, well, I don't care if everybody says it's impossible, I'm going to do it anyway. So my personal question for you is, if you have a goal or a dream, if you are looking back from this end, so let's use, if you want to be an exercise professional, if you woke up tomorrow morning and you had the number of clients that you wanted, or the number of members, or the number of participants in your boot camp, or you had the turnover in your bank account, the driving force that has said to you, this is why I want to be an exercise professional, if you already had achieved that, would you give up? Would you say, oh no, it's all too hard, I'm not going to do it now, even though I've got 1,500 members at my health club, or I've got 40 personal exercise coaching clients, or I've got 70 people coming regularly to my boot camp? Would you give up now? Well, I've achieved that, I can't be bothered. Or is it possible that if you have achieved all the things that you want to do, that would be a driving force to do even more? So again, I'll go back to, here's the goal, here's the achievement, there's the time in between. And that's the time where people give up, and we call it fail. And that's the only definition of failure, isn't it? If you give up, you fail. So if you never give up, you can never fail. So if you really want to be an exercise professional, are there people who have clients, have members, have people coming to their boot camp, they've started a chain of health clubs, they've got an online exercise business? The answer is yes. If that's something that you want to do, is it possible? Of course. You've just got to get through this period here. Because if you're already doing it, oh, Rowie, it's too hard, I can't study, it's just too hard for me. But if I ask the question, if you went tomorrow to open the doors of your studio and there were 100 people in there waiting to exercise with you, would that give you a different headspace? And of course the answer is always yes. I want to be a doctor, but it's too hard. But if you had your own medical practice and you were helping people to stay healthy and or helping sick people to get better, and you were already earning $1 million a year, or you already had a successful practice, would all of that stuff in between be almost irrelevant I've got through the tough part because now I've achieved the outcome. And I'll use another example. Have you ever had an injury and you just thought you'd never get over it? Something hurts, and every time you move you're in pain, and you just think, oh, I just can't stand it. It's just all too hard. But of course you recover from an injury, and then one day you're out running, or you're at the gym lifting, or you're punching the bag or kicking, and you realise that you haven't got an injury anymore, and you can't even remember the pain. It's gone. And the other example of that, of course, is women who have babies, and I cannot speak from personal experience, but so many women have shared with me that while they're going through childbirth, they swear they will never have another child. It's just too hard. It's all too painful. And the minute they've got that beautiful baby in their arms, it's like, well, this is an amazing experience. I can't wait to have another baby. Because that pain bit in the middle, the hard bit, the challenge, the problem, the overcoming to get, isn't that what this is all about? Isn't that what life is all about? If every time we set a goal and we just automatically got it, what would be the pleasure in achieving anything? Isn't it the pain and the hard work and the study and the training and the sweat and the sore muscles and the mental challenge to overcome the challenge to achieve the goal? Isn't that what makes the whole thing so exciting? If you play team sports and you go through the whole season and you go game after game after game, and it's tough and it's hard, and you finally make it to the grand final, and then you've got two teams that battle it out in the grand final, and finally the end of the game comes and you've won the grand final after all of this hard work. Isn't that the ultimate feeling? We've overcome this major challenge and now we feel fantastic. Imagine if you won the grand final by default because the other team didn't turn up. What would be the pleasure in that? So my question is always this: there's the goal and there's the outcome and the result. In between is the stuff required to make it happen. But rather than look at it as a problem or a hassle or a challenge or I can't do it, it's too hard, what if we got excited about the middle bit? I've set a goal, I've got something I want to achieve, I've got a dream. Now I've got to put the stuff into practice to make it happen, so that when it does happen, I actually enjoyed the process, not it was given to me. So you could go and buy a gold medal from a trophy store, and you could get your name engraved on it. You could actually wear it around. You could even get the Olympic insignia put on it, and the rings and everything, and you could wear it. But what would be the pleasure in wearing a gold medal that you didn't achieve? And this is the question that I always ask when people talk to me about giving up. What if you have already achieved the goal? At the moment you're in the middle bit, you're in the overcoming the challenges bit, you're in the training bit, you're in the education bit, you're in the you've got to put an effort in bit. But how rewarding will it be when you can look back and say, oh, I did it? So many times when I've been at a max graduation with students that they've really done it tough. It might be that they've had to go through lots of family challenges or financial challenges, or people who didn't believe in them, or their family said that you can't do it. And then finally they're standing at graduation and they're holding their business diploma and trophy in their hand. And it's like, oh, Rowie, I'm so glad I didn't give up. I'm so glad I didn't let that challenge overcome me. I'm so glad that I pushed through. The reverse of that is if you set a goal and you're in the middle bit and you give up. It's too hard, it's too hot, I'm too stressed, I can't do it, I can't do it. Now you've got to be here with the person that had a goal that didn't achieve it, and I can't imagine what that feels like. I don't ever want to know what that feels like, which is maybe one of the driving forces for me, is the pain of not achieving. And that's why as exercise professionals we always ask that question. What's the goal and how will you feel when you achieve the goal? But how will you feel if you don't? And that's maybe one of the motivational tools to use in that middle bit. There's a lot of people that get excited and inspired by and motivated by the achievement of the goal. But maybe there's some inspiration and motivation and drive in the feeling of not achieving the goal. What do I do if I wake up every day for the rest of my life in a lousy, stinking, rotten job that I hate? What if I spend the rest of my life in this unfit, overweight body? What if I spend the rest of my life in this miserable relationship? What if I spend the rest of my life broke and having to struggle for money? What if I don't want to live my life like that anymore? Isn't it worth then to go through the middle bit so that you can achieve the goal? Rather than, there's a lot of anxiety and depression and unhappiness and grumpiness and miserable people in the world. And I've got a sneaking suspicion that they're either people that had a goal and gave up, and that's got to be a miserable feeling, or they had a goal and they gave up because somebody else told them they couldn't do it. And so they not only end up disliking themselves a hell of a lot because they could have, should have, would have, but they didn't, but they end up blaming the people who they think held them back. But ultimately, are we the only person that can be responsible for our achievement or our lack of achievement? We're the people that have to get up, do the work, do the education, do the training, be disciplined and get it done. We can make excuses, we can blame other people, we can justify why we didn't do it, or we can just bloody do it, get it done, and then be able to go, yes, hold the trophy above your head, stand on the scales and see the result. Get the qualification, get the new career path, get the new business, and know that you've achieved versus, I didn't because I gave up. What's your goal? What do you want to achieve? And not what other people tell you that you should do, not what you think you can do, because you don't know that you can do it until you've actually done it. Would that be fair? If you want to achieve something, the only way that you will ever know that you can do it is if you actually go and do it. And the example I often use is, okay, I started running half marathons and I found them pretty easy. I've got slow twitch muscle fibers and it wasn't really complicated to put 21 kilometers on the road. I didn't find that very hard. But the thought of doing it twice and doing a full marathon was I don't know if I can do that. I'd finish a half marathon and go, oh, I'm not sure that I could go and do that again. However, can I? I don't know until I bloody do it. And that was the thing, the best advice I ever received about marathon running was, Rowie, when the gun goes off, start running. When you cross the finish line, stop running and don't give yourself an option in between. And maybe that would be really great advice for any goal that you want to achieve. Set the goal, put into practice the plan, and don't stop till you've achieved it. And what if you put yourself into that headspace? Clean the car, finish it, get it done. Do the housework, don't stop until it's done. Now you know that it's done. Start the qualification, do the study, do the training, do the missions, get it done, be qualified, get the new career path. Start the exercise program, keep doing the exercise program until you achieve the first goal, and then of course wouldn't it be great to set another goal? Whatever you're doing, once you've set the goal, what if you also set the mindset of don't stop until you've crossed the finish line? No excuses, no justifications, no blame, no, I can't do it, it's too hard, it's too hot, it's too cold, it's just not possible. Of course it's possible, but it's the middle bit that you've got to get over. But I'll ask the question again, isn't it the middle bit that's the most exciting bit? Because that's the bit where the reward actually comes from. It's not and I'll use another example, I want to jump out of a plane. You've jumped out of a plane. What's the bit in the middle? The hard bit's in the middle. You actually have to get into the plane and go up into the air and jump out. But after you've done that and there's no fear anymore, there's no pain anymore, there's just exhilaration. But is it possible that the exhilaration comes from, I did it? So whatever it is that you want to do, perhaps set the goal, get through the middle bit without ever considering that there's an option to stop. Enjoy the middle bit and perhaps focus on the enjoyment of, I've got the medal, I've got the qualification, I've completed, I've achieved. Or maybe you're the person who needs to focus on, what if I give up? How will that feel? And I'm going to ask those questions again. How will it feel if you spend the rest of your life in an unhealthy, unfit body? How will you feel if you spend the rest of your life in a lousy, stinking, rotten job? How will you feel if you spend the rest of your life scraping for money, particularly if you've got kids or you're in a family situation where you're responsible for other people? Imagine trying to justify even to other people why you haven't put your best foot forward, got through that middle bit and achieved financial security. And financial freedom and security is one of the easiest things. I think much easier than any of the other big parts of life. Being healthy, fit and strong requires discipline and effort, of course, but what a beautiful outcome. Getting a career path or business requires discipline and effort, of course. Financial freedom's not very hard because money, once you start creating income, it's very easy to allocate effectively and become financially free so that you never have to struggle for money. And then having great relationships is a little bit complicated because you've got other people to deal with. But ultimately, isn't the best relationship with the relationship you have with yourself? And I'll bring all of that together. How can you have a great relationship with yourself if you set a goal and don't get through the middle bit? You set a goal and you never know what it's like to achieve. You'll only ever know that you can when you do. It's not believing in yourself and then doing and then getting the outcome. It's set the goal, do what you need to do to achieve it, and then you know that you can. And wouldn't that be an awesome thing to be able to say? I know that I can because I did. I know that I can achieve this because I have. I know that I can have a career path or business that I'm excited about because that's what I'm doing every day. And all you've got to do is set the goal, appreciate the outcome, and get through the middle bit. And perhaps the idea is to be excited about the middle bit. The achievement and the satisfaction and the feeling of I've done it comes from the hard bit in the middle. So rather than focusing on the hard, what if that becomes the exciting bit? I've set the goal. I'm going to do whatever it takes and I'm not stopping until I achieve the goal, until I cross the finish line, until I've done what I said I'm going to do. And could that be a really great way to invest every day? Set a goal, get into the habit of achieving the goal and then appreciating the outcome. What a great way to live.